All right, welcome to another episode of the Empowerment Podcast, Perspective Podcast. I am Demiso Josie alongside
Stacy Sanderson Dick.
How's it going, Stacy?
It's going.
We have a good week or week two, or how long we've been apart?
Only about a week this time.
Yeah. Vacation's over.
Yeah. Kids got to go back to school.
School's starting
They
soon.
need to go back to school.
The question is, are you ready for that change and going back to school? The summer's over, and
Yes.
how do you prepare?
I'm just ready for them to go back to school. They're at each other's throats like 24 hours a day, so I'm
Got you.
done.
I understand. I want some normalcy. Like, kids stay up late and they wake up whenever they want to. I need the routine. So
Then I'll complain about the routine, though. I don't want to make lunch. I don't feel like getting up early. I don't feel like checking homework.
No.
But it has to get done.
It has to get done. Your kids go back tomorrow, right?
Yes,
Ooh.
yes.
At least mine got a couple more days for that to happen. Well, last week, again, we want to thank Dr. Stephanie Iglesias for stopping by and shedding some information on the topic that we discussed, which was...
Your value system and how it drives your actions.
What was the biggest thing that you got out of that podcast?
I don't know. I guess we all kind of get our values from how we grew up, and whether that drives us to instill the same things in our kids or the opposite.
Right.
You know, everybody kind of gets it from where they grew up.
Right. The biggest piece for me is like, how do you put that into your children? And we kind of came to a discovery of like you kind of model that behavior, and I definitely see it manifested in my kids. For good and bad. There's
Yes.
bad qualities about me that Jaden definitely has, but it just, knowing and modeling that behavior is so huge. So just to recap again, the first podcast, we talked about self-assessment, then we went into your value system, and today we're going to be talking about mindset, how to get that mind and that mentality ready for any situation that you have in life, which is really, really important. So we have a special guest in the studio today, Mr. Demetrius Poles. How you doing, sir?
Pretty good.
Right.
Good morning.
This is a special one for me because he's like a brother to me. Like he grew up with me, and definitely somebody I look up to. Just to give a little bit of background information about him, and I can go on forever talking about him. But obviously, a great basketball player at Dulce Regional High School. Went on to play at the college level, started at St. Joe's University, correct? Mm-hmm. And then transferred to Rowan. You won a national championship there. Yep. Won one in high school. I mean, talk about winning. The guy knows how to win. Played professionally overseas in a number of places. You can tell us a couple of places you played overseas.
Yeah, well, I lived in Sweden for 14 years, but I played in Europe, all around the Middle East, in South America, Russia, Finland for 3 years, Poland, Italy, Germany, Denmark, Latvia, Argentina, Jordan, Lebanon for 2 years, lived in Beirut for 2 years. Where else? I've been all over the map, basically, all over Qatar, lived in Doha.
Got a lot of stamps in that passport, huh?
Yes, I do. Yep.
That's dope. And then once you retired from playing professionally, you became a coach, correct?
Yeah, I started coaching in funny story. I was in Argentina, and like I said, I was always living in Sweden. 2003, my final year playing professional ball, and I got a call from Sweden. My the guy who coached me in Sweden, he's American, but he still living in Sweden. He called and told me, Demetrius, I know you're done, but you're coaching right away. I'm like, damn, what are you talking about? He was like, you're coaching as soon as you get off the plane from Argentina. I'm like, I don't even think about it yet. He's like, you're one of the smartest players I ever coached, man. This is your calling out here. You have to do this. I'm like, all right, Dan, we'll see when I get back. But it was like the middle of the season. I really didn't think about it. I focused on my, finishing the season strong. And then when I got back to Sweden, he put me on the bench, and the natural things started coming out to me as a coach, and then I started growing, and then I started working with the NBA for 9 years in Italy, and I became a Swedish national team coach. I went to 2 finals in Sweden, championships as a coach, 2 different clubs in 4 years, and I had a lot of success.
So you had championships in high school, you had championships in college, you coached some championship teams. We definitely have a winner in the building today. So I think it's really, really important for us to, talk about this topic today and mindset. And we're going to get into how you prepared your players. We can talk about how you prepared yourself when you were playing to get ready for that big game or that big moment. And then we're going to make that transition to how we can use those skills in life, which is really, really important. But Stacy, tell us what do you think about mindset? Like, how important is it to you?
I think it's very important. It's crucial for any success that you have in life. sports. If your head's not right, you're not in the game, or you're negative. We talk about the blame game. It's all on you, and mindset has a lot to do with it. So I'm excited for this one because the first two was kind of getting you established, our podcast, where we currently are. This is the one where you start taking some action to start growing a little bit if you're in a not so wonderful mindset.
Breaking out of that bad mindset is really difficult.
I'm working on it.
Working on it. Can't be that
it's
bad.
It's a running theme, I think, through the podcast is I'm struggling, I'm working on it, but we're taking this journey together, right?
Absolutely.
So you're already kind of there, but this is the one I really am trying daily to do better
I'm
with.
not there. I'm pretending. You know, somebody's got to hold this thing together and make it run correctly. But in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, I'm really messed up, and I really did some bad things. I need to, focus a little bit more. I guess for me, in mindset, because I do so many things, I have to learn how to sort of departmentalize my life. Like, you know what I'm saying? I try to, when I go to work and work with those kids, I can't think about stuff at home because I can't fix it. And when I'm here, I try not to think about work, even though, people email me and text me all day long and all that stuff. So I try to break it up so that I can really be in the moment, as best as I possibly can. So I guess, how do you as a mother prepare yourself in the morning, like mentally? Or are you just kind of...
Coffee. I think it's something you have to start daily. Like, as soon as you get out of bed, you have to be grateful that you're alive, you're healthy, you're... whatever you're grateful for, you have to start with that mindset. And that kind of gets the ball rolling a little bit. If you wake up and it's like, oh, my back, oh, my God, I got to get up early. You set yourself off on the wrong foot right out of bed. So I try to wake up and go through a couple of things I'm grateful for in my mind and set a couple of goals for the day.
Right.
But usually when they're up, that kind of goes out the window when they're fighting me on this and that already.
So as a coach, Demetrius, like, walk us through what you do to prepare mentally, I guess, before games.
Well, before a game, because you're leading up to the week in practice, you want to have that mindset of you're getting your team better and you're getting yourselves better and you're instilling a lot of positive reinforcement because you want to develop a healthy mindset and be very competitive. And the mindset that we have, that we try to teach our kids at the college level is you want the other team to be uncomfortable. You don't want to spend most of your time, scouting them and try to take everything they do. Mm-hmm. Take one thing away that they do well, and that's pretty much fine because if you focus on yourself and you develop habits and like say if we play fast, we want to push that ball down their throat. We don't care what they do. We know what player we have to stop, of course, and we know which kid is a good rebounder or anything like that. We know that, but we don't press ourselves too much on what they do. We put all our energy into us because we want them to make adjustments. We want them to think about, wow, they're really running the ball up the court and we can't stop it. What can we do? Okay. So we don't go into a game or even into practice putting too much energy on the other team. All of our energy goes on to us because we want people to adjust to us. And that's a healthy mindset that you have to cultivate. And it's about repetition, doing it day in and day out, putting yourself in difficult situations in practice, like almost impossible. You're down, it's 2 minutes left to go, and you're down by 15 points.
Yeah.
So you want to practice those moments. Even if you don't come back and win, you cultivate a healthy mindset on how to conquer that almost impossible aspect. Because when the game comes, you want the game to be easy. You want the game to be not even no pressure on you.
Yeah.
But you want that mindset of staying aggressive, staying focused, and also staying calm, and also believing in staying calm in torrential moments. It can be some bad moments because basketball is a lovely game. It's a lot of ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
But it's about how your mindset would take you out of that, the bad parts. So you want to stay positive, but you want to challenge yourself, and it's all about repetition and focusing on yourself instead of the opponent so much.
I think you make a great point in life in general. Like, if we just focused on ourselves and stop worried about what everyone else is doing, and make people adjust to us, like, you know what I mean? I think that's how you start with that winning process in life. And too many of us are way too focused on, how I look and how my appearance or what other people think about me. I said it before in the podcast, I can care less what people think about me.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you come to the gym, you got competition, it's a possibility that you may lose. That's a gentleman's agreement, all about competition. But focus on yourself and focus on what you can do And in practice of leading to games, put yourself in tight and hard situations where you, like I just mentioned, you put yourself in a situation where you're down 15 points with 2 minutes left in the game. Naturally, you know you're going to lose. But you still want to do the best you can in practice to put yourself in a situation where if you're down by 7 with 2 minutes to go, you got a great chance. Because if you don't practice these difficult aspects, you can't cultivate a healthy mindset. You would just be even Steven and just happy going with the flow.
That's why I love the game of basketball. It's so much like life. Like, you know what I mean? You face with so much adversity. How do you respond to that? Like, are you going to quit or are you going to lay down? The only difference is that in life, you don't have practice. Like, you're in game time all the time.
All the time.
You know what I mean? And you got to make those adjustments, but you got to be in the right mindset to do it. I know, growing up, it was like survival mode, like every single day trying to get to, to that point. So anytime, everything was negative. So for me, it wasn't like those ebb and flows, but now I'm in a position where there is those times that, there's high times and low times. And I got to constantly adjust and shift and do those things to get that mindset and be in the right mindset to be able to conquer those things.
Yes. And you gotta, part of having a good mindset is accepting failure. There's nothing wrong with failing.
No.
It doesn't mean you're failing on purpose. It means you're learning and you learn from those failures. And that's cultivating a healthy mindset. And it, like you said, it's off the court. Every thought you have is a mindset. Every result that you get out of your response to something that happens, positive or negative, is the result of your mindset. So if you're a positive person, if you're a competitive person in sports, I mean, you can overcome a lot. Even if you come up short in a game, you know where to go back to and draw back to moments where you can fix, and then take it to the next week and be ready for the next opponent.
Stacey, let's talk about those times where you kind of have that Murphy's Law day and everything just seems not to go right. Like, how do you work yourself out of those situations mentally? Like, how do you handle it?
Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have to just go to bed and start fresh the next day. But I know a lot of times I try to just take 5 minutes to kind of focus on what's important, and you have to start letting that stuff go. I think in life, you are your competition. I don't think you really should be sizing yourself up against anybody else. You just need to be the better version of yourself than you were 5 minutes ago, yesterday, a year ago, and just constantly growing.
And that goes back to our self-assessment piece. I mean, you have to make that assessment and be like, okay, in my failures, what lesson can I learn from that so tomorrow I don't make those same mistakes in life.
Don't beat yourself up too bad. You get a new day, you get a new hour, you always have that fresh start when you're ready to turn the page. That's
my downfall. I kill myself. Like, I get so angry and so defeated. I mean, borderline depression sometimes. But I sit still and kind of reflect on those things and try to better myself tomorrow. I'm so a competitor. Like, I want to win tomorrow. Like, I lost today, it's fine, but I'm gonna go back out there. You're not gonna beat me.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of that really stems to how we grew up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just learning how to win. Like, we refuse to lose at the end of the day.
Yeah, it was all about bettering ourselves and just trying to be the best you can be, and bring it as a group, as a collective group. That's positive reinforcement if everybody's on board, and that helps you personally. It helps you as a collective group, and success can come out of that.
Right. I think you hit a great point, and which probably for another podcast, but we'll talk about it now. Is the group of people that you're with got to have that same mindset, that same mentality. So if you with people that aren't on that same level as you are, you're not gonna get that support. I think one of the biggest things, as you mentioned, when we grew up, like, we all were on the same mindset to the point where we're not going to let you fail. You know what I mean? And there was a sort of accountability on your end, too. I don't want to fail because I don't want to look bad, and lose that core group of people. So being with people, like-minded people, is really, really important.
Do you find when you first get your players that there is a lot of work on that part, like the mindset, like they come in maybe not having faced too much adversity and losing, and they come in on that high horse, but they don't have that mindset?
Well, coming from high school and then you go to college, and then you go to college to pros, when you make that adjustment, you have to be ready. I tell my kids, you're going to fail. It's not going to be as easy as high school. You can forget about it. You're going to have competition in practice. You're going to play against players that some talent you've never played against. You're going to see some styles that you never played against in high school. So you have to be prepared to fail, and that's okay. But that's all culminating to a new start at a higher level, so you can adjust to the college game, adjust to the speed, adjust to the strength, adjust to, all the aspects that entails it, adjust to going to school all day and coming to practice and be ready to have a good practice. Because the coach is going to demand a good practice, whether you like it or not. But you got to get up in the morning and, you got to get the night before you got to get your sleep, then you get up in the morning and you got to go through your day. So I tell these kids that, I'm not surprised if you fail. So don't take it too hard on yourself. I expect that, but you got to adjust to it, and you got to learn from it. So
what do you have this player that came in, let's say, and really didn't experience failure on a significant level. Let's just say they're the privileged player. Like and when that failure is coming, like you said, like how do you get them to adjust? Even as a parent, like how do you get your kids to adjust to failure?
Well, I mean, if you're telling them. It's all how they take it and how as a parent how you give it. If you make them feel like they're a failure, if they're gonna take that as I'm failing. I'm a failing person. If you tell them you failed but learn from it, and this is how you learn from it, and this is how you should adjust, and let me give you some tips. You're growing up. You're setting them up for a winning situation out of that failure. Because as long as you learn from it, and as long as you take it as a parent. You have to you have to empower your kids. I love that word, empowerment. That's my word.
The Empowerment Perspective podcast.
Yeah, I love that word, and that's my word going into this season. I mean, we all fail in everything we do, but the mindset, which goes in all across the board, if you're positive, you can learn something out of it, then you take that step forward.
That was deep. Like I had to stop and think about that. That's definitely that empowerment piece is so important, and to me it ties into self-worth and all those things too, which is really, really important. But it does put you in that right frame of mind and that right mindset if you think of it from that perspective. Like even as a parent, like I need to empower my children to make decisions. Like I love the fact that when you walked in, you was like, your son forgot something about going in the pool, and you was like, well, I make them pack their own stuff up. Like that's a sense of like,
seeing with his own book bag, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I give him the lead. We going over to Mr. Miso's house. They have a pool. Get your swimming trunks. I'm getting myself ready. You get yourself ready. That's a little failure, but you learn from it. Next time make sure I bring my shorts. And I don't scold him for that. And, hey, swim the shorts you got on.
Right.
It makes it work.
He has to adjust.
Yes. I didn't put him in a corner or punish him for it.
Right.
So, making his self-worth go completely down because I forgot some shorts. Come on.
Yeah.
So.
But when you look at life, like you're just looking at your son or whatever, you have a long time to teach that lesson. But as a team, your season is real short.
Yes.
Like how long, when does the fuse go off and be like, all right, enough's enough?
One thing for sure, the European season is 10 months long and I love it. Here it's 5 months and I'm like a crackhead because the season's over and I have nothing to do, which I did change. I channeled that into something, but we can talk about that later. But you don't have time. So that process goes back into your recruiting. Whatever you bring in is what you're going to get out. Whatever you recruit is going to get out. I probably drove from January to June. I probably drove 11,000 miles in the Rowan car recruiting. From Maryland, D.C., Philadelphia, all up and down Jersey. Most of it's in Jersey. I drove up upstate New York, and you have to evaluate what you're looking at. The first thing I do is body language. If you have good body language and you're high-fiving your teammates, I'm bringing in a leader. If I'm bringing somebody who sulks because their teammate can't catch the ball or they missed a shot and they, despondent to the rest of the team, I'm not bringing that in. I don't care how good you are. I want to build a championship team, and you got to put the pieces together, and you got to evaluate that. So those kids who are, outgoing and positive and, doing the best they can and take moments, like if you're down by 4 points with 30 seconds left, if a kid can take over the game and say, I want that moment, I want that kid. If a kid shrinks in the moment but tries, I still want that kid. But if a kid is negative in the moment, I walk away and I get in my car and go back to Glassboro.
I don't know why. I'm thinking relationships when he said that. Like, you know what I mean?
Like, taking this in a whole different direction.
I don't know why. Like, I feel like, he talked about driving all these miles and then reading the body language and accepting only a certain type of person. Like, I'm thinking relationships. Like,
well, those people will learn quicker when you bring them to college. Because, like you said, you don't have that much time.
Right.
Those are kids that respond right away.
Well, and it is a relationship. It's a teammate with a coach. It's that if you know what you can work with and what you can't work with. And some coaches may be able to take that kid that sulks and does whatever and do something with it. But you say you don't have the time. You want to bring it in and make it gel from the beginning. And you want all that like-mindedness. It doesn't have to be about the talent.
Yes.
As long as they're willing to try.
Yeah, it's about character. Is that leader. Like, I brought this book here for James Carr Legacy. This is a beautiful book. It's about the business of life. It's about the All Blacks. It's about the
rugby team,
the
right?
rugby team in New Zealand.
Okay.
And I've seen them perform on the basketball, not the All Blacks, their rugby, but I've seen them in Italy with their basketball team. Their culture is incredible. They'll go to a game, they'll play the game. After the game, they'll clean up the floor, the game floor. They'll pick up all the water bottles, all the towels. May not even be their stuff, but they clean the sheds, and that's a quote from the book. It's about cleaning the sheds and cleaning up everything you do, because you want to leave places. When people say, I want to leave the place better than I came, they really do it.
That's nice.
And this book is great. You can't put the book down. Joe Christman gave the book to us last year. This is an unbelievable book. This is one of the best books I ever read in my life. And it applies to everything. It applies to, closing that door. It applies to not parking on the grass like I just did.
It needed to be cut anyway, so you helping me out a little bit. But that's a really, really interesting. Actually, I know about the team. I didn't read the book, but I saw a documentary on them, and that cleaning up the things, and leaving the world a better place than when you experienced it. Leaving it in a better place is a huge thing, and I think it speaks to that sense of entitlement that these kids have these days. You know what I mean? I know we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit here, but I think this is a perfect segue into that participation trophy that we were talking about.
We can go there first.
We could definitely go there, but. And Demetrius, you could talk about this since you have a different experience, like overseas. Like, American children have that sense of entitlement, and you don't necessarily see that in all places of the world. But how is that a detriment to our society or to people that have that sense of entitlement?
Well, when I left America, I didn't think we were like that.
I think it changed quick.
When I went to Sweden in 1999, the Swedes, I love Sweden. I mean, I'm a permanent resident. My kids are born there. I'm a national team coach in Sweden, which is a huge honor for somebody coming from a different country. But they have a real sense of entitlement. And I'm like, Americans are not like that. Americans not, they want a trophy, they want to win. Everybody should be on the same level, the same stratosphere. Nobody's above each other. They really take that hard. When people act out and show off, they don't like that. But their kids are like, I should have this too. Why, if he has it, I should have it. If he won a trophy, why does he get a trophy for MVP?
Yeah.
Why does he get that accolade for that? I'm like, it's supposed to be like, that's part of the competition. You have to learn. But then when I came back,
it trickled over
13
the
years
ocean
later,
here.
14 years, 17 years later, the kids are just like that. And I'm like, wow, you guys are really spoiled. And I think the detriment is I think it cultivates a weak mindset. You want everything given to you. And I for example, I tell my kids, you don't deserve it. You go to basketball camp and something you mentioned earlier, you meet your level of competition, you got to eat humble pie. There's nothing wrong with failing, as long as you learn from it. But that sense of entitlement stuff, we get it here tremendously at Rowan. But you have to balance it out. You have to pull them back and like, listen, the competition doesn't care if you want a freaking trophy or you want some accolade that you really don't deserve. So why even fester into that? Just leave it alone and take the hard route. Be old school. So it's pretty surprising that Americans we're like this in society. Because when I left, I didn't think so, but maybe because I didn't have those experiences overseas. And like I said before, in Eastern Europe, who is still stone hard. They, those kids are still strapping on the cinder blocks and running down the street, old Soviet Union style. But they're working for it.
Right. I think that what I'm seeing now, especially in adults, is the same sense of entitlement, especially when they talk about their careers and their jobs and things. And they think they should just get stuff just because they exist and just because you come to work every day. And it just blows my mind, the things that I see on a daily basis. And it's so anti to the way that I was raised and how I think. Like, you know what I mean? That work ethic is so important. It's like one of my values that we talked about, core values, is work ethic. I guarantee you one thing, you're not going to outwork me. I mean, we can go toe to toe. We can get on the treadmill. Demetrius, I'm going to outrun you. I'm going to die trying to. I'm just that competitor in me, and the fact that I'm going, want to work. But I'm seeing it in career fields and things, and people are, have that sense of entitlement. Like I don't understand. I understand where it comes from, but you're not anything special. Like, you know what I mean? They don't want to work for things.
Well, kids do, because like I mentioned before, when you go to college, when you make that transition, it's the first time they fail. And that's why I tell them, you are going to fail. I have to tell them tomorrow when we meet our girls on our women's team, you're going to fail. The freshmen, you're going to fail. It's not going to be as easy. So get ready for that. Don't think that somebody's going to walk in and say, oh, your name is so-and-so, I should bow down. Right. No, they're going to come at your head. And you can better be prepared for it. They're not going to give it to you. So the work ethic that you just mentioned, you have to have that instilled. And it's dangerous to have a society that just wants to sit on its butt and just complain. I want this, I want that. You got to work. There's no way around it.
So Stacey, your kids are in sports and things.
Yes.
Your son comes home with this trophy. He went 0-45 in the season, and he gets this big trophy, got his name on it, Anderson Dick at the end of it. Say, Mom, look at this thing. What's your response to that?
I don't want to hurt his feelings, but I am kind of over it. Everybody gets a trophy for showing up, and half the kids don't even show up half the time. You have half a bench, and then they come for the last game, and they get their trophy for me paying $100 to register you to play. It doesn't have that value that it used to have. And I think, too, you having kids coming in from freshman year, you're getting the top of the high school team where they were used to riding that wave of being, the big kahuna at the school. Then they come in, you're playing against everybody else's high school at their top level. So I think that's got to be a hard adjustment for these kids to come down a notch, where you might have been the top dog, but you come to college and you're right there with everybody else, and they're not ready for that. But I don't know why. I don't know when we made this shift that we made everything easy for these kids, and I'm guilty of it. I definitely clean up my kids' messes a couple times when I shouldn't. I should take my hands off and let them deal with it, but I don't.
It's so hard, like, as a parent, to watch your kids struggle, knowing that you can fix it technically, but you're really, in the long run, hurting them more so than helping them. Me and my wife tell our kids that there's no quitting. You sign up for something, I don't care what it is, you're going to follow through with it.
We don't quit.
Right, and keep it moving. But it's just a scary place in society right now that it's okay to have that sense of entitlement, and I'm looking like, well, who's to blame for this thing? And of course I'm looking at us as adults, like we're creating this environment where.
But we didn't grow up that way, so why are we doing this to our kids? It's a hard. How did we get here?
Right. I think some of it goes back to what I was saying. Like, how do I manufacture struggle for my kids at some point in time? Like, and you as a parent, for me, I don't want them to go through the things that I had to go through. And I have the means to do it now, then okay, this is so easy for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna buy them a $160 pair of shoes that light up that my wife's mad at me about. But at the same time, I try to make this balancing act. I don't want them to ever feel that pain that I went through, but at the same time, it's good that I went through it, because I'm the person I am right now. So
I think you have to change with these trophies, getting trophies and all that. You have to change the meaning of it. You didn't get a trophy because you were good. You got a trophy because your parents signed you up to play. That's what that trophy is for. So if you change the definition of why you getting it, you're not necessarily getting it because you're the best player. Don't think that. If you change the definition and say, you get a trophy because you signed up, but you may get an extra trophy because you were a great leader on the team, or you maybe just be the MVP or best player or the most positive. You have to. Now that ship has sailed, and it's going to be hard to draw back all that. That's a lot of work to do. So now you change the definition of what a trophy is, and it means you just was on the team. It's just like a jersey. You get shorts and a jersey, and the trophy comes with it. But that trophy does not mean you're successful you're successful.
And I think that translates into a career, because remember back in the day where like the father would go work, he would come home with the check and be all proud with the check and everything like that. And I feel like it had more meaning back then. Now it's like, you know, it's like the trophy. Like I expect to get a paycheck, because just because I showed up, I should be getting paid. Meanwhile, you're just sitting there doing nothing, but give me my paycheck. You know what I mean? That mentality, that mindset is something that hopefully this podcast can help iron out in some people. And just putting that value back into work and wanting to struggle. I tell people all the time, I don't want to feel comfortable. I want to struggle, because to me that's progress.
You're gonna have to struggle.
You have to struggle.
If it's too easy, it means you're too affluent and you've just been born with a silver spoon.
Right.
My spoon was wooden. So I had to try to put a lot of polish and shine on it, whatever I could do to glaze it up. You know, you got to put that work in to be silver. So,
and we all share the same wooden spoon.
Yeah, we sure did.
Pass that joke around. That is too funny. I want to move into this concept of fear, because I think mindset, fear is a big part of the mindset. And I think a lot of people don't do things in life because they're afraid to do things. They're afraid to step outside of the box. They're afraid to put forth that work ethic because they may not get whatever they think they're going to get at the end of it, instead of enjoying the process. So I guess let's just talk about, I think it's something that you were fearful of yourself, and how did you work through that process. Let's start with Stacy. I see you pointing over there.
I'm pointing all your equipment here because this was scary for me to come on the podcast, and I don't like public speaking, and I usually cower at that stuff. So when we talked, I jumped right on it, because I'm like, if I think about this too much, I'm going to overthink it and give myself 80 reasons why I can't do it.
Yep.
So your process is this. I'm just going to jump into it.
I'm Nike, just do it. Because you know what? Half the time, it's not as bad as what you work up in your head.
Right.
And the more time you think, the more crazy stuff you can come up with as to why you can't do it.
That's how powerful the mind is.
Right. I think I got to a point where, and I think I said this in the last podcast, like I'm really not afraid of anything. Like just because I've went through a whole lot of things, like I don't even think that way. Like it's just a matter of, does it align with my core values, or do I really want to do this thing? Well, I'm just going to try it. I'm going to try podcasts and see what happens. I'm going to try public speaking. Let's just see what happens. I'm going to go try coaching, whatever. I'm going to run this nonprofit, whatever. I'm just going to jump in. And I think a lot of people are just afraid to make a move. I don't know why. Like maybe they just want to feel comfortable all the time. Like I just don't get it.
Like comfortable anymore isn't comfortable. The world is almost set up against you a lot of ways now with social media. You're seeing Demiso do all this great stuff, and they're probably sitting there saying, I could never do this. I wouldn't even know where to start, so I can't do it. I'm just done. I have nothing positive to give. I don't have anything to offer, so I'm just going to sit here. But you're not. You're just sitting there then. That's your life, is you're not really moving forward.
So how do you get somebody to break out of that cycle? How we get people moving into a right direction?
Well, they have to understand that there's nothing wrong with being fearful. And once again, you can learn from your fears. But to challenge them and overcome them, you're gonna have to find a way to just do it. Like you said, too many thoughts, and brings on more anxiety and more doubt and more negative thoughts. And for example, when I first became a pro, I got a call before I became a pro. Phil Martelli from St. Joe's called and said, I got a job for you, but it's in Beirut. I said, okay, I'm taking it. I didn't bat an eye. I had an ex-girlfriend who was in the military. She was like, you're not going. I said, I'm going to Beirut. I'm starting my career.
Okay.
A little bit of fear, but I was told that, we can go over there, we can sign into the U.S. Embassy and all that type of stuff, and we'll be safe with that. And everybody I told, I'm going to Beirut. You're going to Beirut? Are you freaking crazy? But what you saw on that TV from America was not the same as when I got there. When I got there, it was pretty bad, in terms of infrastructure and all that, and the bombs and stuff. But the only way I could overcome it was to go through it. I mean, and I did hear bombs. I did see Israel bomb Hezbollah a whole bunch of times, and my chandelier's falling in my house, and I'm running under my bed and calling my gym manager to get me the hell out of here. I did do that. But my Lebanese friends, a lot of great Lebanese friends, they comforted me about, no, it's not going to happen. We have a treaty and we have a truce and everything will be okay. But in myself, I was terrified. Go to the game, everybody checking your bags for bombs and everything. But when you get in, the atmosphere was great. It was tremendous. It was a lot of electric activity in those gyms. They loved the game, and then they, despite their situation, they had a tough situation over there. They're still coming out and being happy, and still coming out and being not scared of, getting my bomb one day. So I'm saying to myself, if they're not scared, why should I be scared? Because the bombs don't discriminate.
No.
If something's gonna happen, something's gonna happen. So I went through that, and I went in '97, and then they called me back in 2001. I went again, despite I did see some shaky stuff. Got some other stories, but most of all, it was great. It was a fear that was something I had to overcome, and I learned it. Okay, that was my first stop as a pro. After that, I was afraid to go anywhere. Because, coming back to Americans, they don't, they watch that TV and I'll never go there. Well, I've been there, and it's not as bad as you think. So just that is not as bad as you think, overcoming some things. That you put a big picture in your head and it's scary and there's a big boogeyman or it's a big this. No, it's not that bad.
So people got to get out of their own way. It's their perception of what they think is going to happen. Like, they're making that projection. Like you said, it's this big scary monster thing, and you all open the door, it ain't anything in there.
Yeah, because I heard a saying, I don't know who said it, is what we fear doing most is usually what we most need to do. And I think that's the main thing that you should take away in terms of overcoming fear. You have to do it. I mean, if it's something you don't need to do, don't do it. If you're scared of bungee jumping, just don't do it. But if
We're
it's
not talking about being stupid.
But if you want to, get a new job or start a new field or something, or do something you've never done before, try to create a whole new you, go do it. Go try it. Because if you don't try it, the fear beats you.
People always make excuses too. As I'm getting older now, I'm seeing people that, I've been in this career for 10, 15 years, and why do I want to make this change? And even if they're passionate and their purpose, it might be somewhere else. They're so scared to make that change.
Because they're uncomfortable.
Right. So in terms of how you overcame fear, like where did that come from? Like how did you develop that? Like that, just do it attitude?
Well, it goes back to what we started with, a mindset. I think all this has underlying with mindset is everything. My mom told me, you can go see the world, you can do whatever you want to do, just get an education, treat people the way you want to be treated, and you can go and do anything in this world that you want to do. And I really believed that as a child. And we talked about it earlier, what you put in your children is so precious. They're so precious right now. They have to be instilled and put in a lot of positive reinforcement with themselves and how they feel, how they look, what their name is, where they come from, everything. If you empower them, which is the main topic, the main thing, they can feel like they're feelers. There's nothing wrong. I was told when I was young, I can do anything, and I'm going to try to do it. That's what my mother did, and that's the way I was raised.
I think the wonderful thing about your mother is that she taught that same lesson to everybody. It was there. You know what I mean? So definitely in her own unique way, but she definitely taught it to everybody. And it's kind of off topic though, but just talking about community. Like we don't have that sense of community anymore. Like you know what I mean?
Yes. And Stanger Avenue was epitome of a community built, with mainly just mothers raising males. But all the mothers knew, man, you keep eye on my kid, I keep eye on yours, and they all get treated the same way. And we all knew that. I mean, you couldn't act out of pocket. That strap would come out or that punishment would come out, and that was it.
And then you get it when you get home.
You get it 2 times.
But I think that sense of community developed that mindset in us. Like, you know what I mean? And as we grow as adults, and I think the beautiful thing about it is that, like, I went away to Connecticut, Roz, everyone goes there a different way. You went overseas, but when we get back together, it's still the same. It's the same
values.
You know what I mean? Same values, that same mindset. It's really. Did you grow up in a community that was like?
Yeah, it was a dead-end street, so the kids in the neighborhood were together, but it was more, I lived with my mom. She worked, so we were at my grandmother's a lot in the summer when we were off because she worked all day and stuff like that. But, yeah, I guess it was the same kids were over, and you knew you had to behave at somebody's house when your mom was getting a phone call, and you were
you're gonna hear
deep when you got home.
Are you in a community like that right now?
I'm in the farmlands of New Jersey. It's you can't even trick or treat in our neighborhood because everybody's too far away. We all go to like somewhere else. We do with our neighbors and stuff like that. We're tight with our neighbors, but it's not as like it used to be.
So you ride around on a tractor?
I don't have a tractor. We have a broke riding mower that doesn't. We do have quads in the shed.
There you go.
But when you were saying like empowering the kids, like your mom empowered you, do you think that maybe is where there's a fine line now between empowering your kid is one thing, but telling your child constantly, they're fantastic, you're wonderful, you're this. It's not a bad thing, but do you think we're sugarcoating the empowerment as we're not making them own it, I guess? Like, is that where it's getting blurred? Because that's what your mom did is fantastic, and you've used that your whole life to get to where you are. But why are these kids now, they want the trophy for doing nothing? Like, where are we taking empowerment and making a shift into, we're feeding them positive things, but they're not said right. Something's off.
They're not coming back to reality enough. So everybody's in, when I can go to my phone and get totally out of reality right away. And these kids can do it too, or the computer. They can get totally fulfill what they want. They don't have any, idea about what, determination and sticking with things, stick-to-itiveness. They don't have that. They just jump to something else that gratifies them. And it's too much. I'm telling my kids today, get off the iPad, pick up a book, leave it alone. Come back to reality, enhance yourself. Stop looking at stuff that's just making your brain have all these positive reactions and these fantasies, because there's a chemical reaction when you get on the phone or you get on your computer and just look at stuff that's making you pleased, and you get all carried away, and then you put it down. You may turn the computer off, but that's things that you learn is still continuing. You got to cut that off and come back to reality.
Right. I think part of this.
My mom did that really, really good.
What did we have? Like Atari? I mean, we couldn't do anything like these kids do today.
I couldn't even touch Atari if I didn't do my homework, if I didn't have the grades.
Right.
Consequences, man.
Yeah. That's crazy. And I think also the parents, it's just easier. Like, your kids putting up a fuss and arguing and things. It's just easier to be like, all right, here's the iPad, or here's
or
whatever.
waiting anywhere, doctor's offices. If you have an appointment for your car, you bring the devices with you because it keeps them busy while you're waiting, because they can't. But that's robbing them of learning how to be patient.
Right.
Yes.
But I think parents need to start to be creative. Like, I posted something on Facebook the other day with my daughter doing homework, right? Jaden hates homework. And I was like, I have to figure out a way to make her do this homework. So, all right, no, at the end of the day, you got to do the homework. I'm going to have to figure out how to make it fun, how to do something, but we go sit here and do this homework. And then at the end of the video, I cut it short. She started getting in her, crying nose and stuff like that. All right, I backed off a little bit, and then she still got a couple more pages in this packet to do, but I just think that parents, we give up too easy. Yes. And I think it's that's creating that sense of entitlement, and it's okay to quit and not do things. Yeah,
because the sense of entitlement didn't come from the kids, it came from the parents.
Well, like you said, we're trying to do better, but we're cutting our legs out from under us.
Right.
Yes, and it is a slippery slope. We better be careful. It's all about reeling it back and coming back to reality. Like you said, the homework must be done.
It's got to get done.
You can't. There's no way around it. Unless you want to stay in the same grade all your life, you have to do the work.
Right.
And these kids, though, they follow people on Instagram. My kids don't have social media yet. The mean mom, they're not getting it yet because they're too young to know what they're putting out there. And
no Snapchat.
Yes.
No, they like the filters on my sister's phone, but they don't. I don't even know how that works.
They got an account. You just don't know about it.
I'm on my computer checking their phones because they're my old. I know what they don't have a phone number. They watch Stampy Cat from Minecraft.
Talk to your husband. They got an account.
Nah, but they follow these celebrities and they see this lifestyle they're living, but they don't see the work behind it that got them there. So the basketball players that they follow, my son in the NBA loves Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. So they're seeing them get these big contracts and they're getting all these endorsements and they're getting this, but they're not seeing what these guys did to get. They didn't just shoot a little bit on a Sunday afternoon and call it a day. Like they devoted their life to that.
They put their lives in the gym. They put their lives in that basketball and that basket. I mean, it is a total sacrifice that you got to make, and you got to make a conscious decision. That's what I want to do. I'm gonna do it. Rain, sleet, or snow.
We didn't see athletes' lifestyles, and I mean, musicians. You'd see the videos on MTV, which they don't even make anymore. But our generation didn't see a whole lot of what they did in their personal life unless it was on a trash magazine. Now these kids can follow them on. I mean, I don't remember seeing a whole lot about.
I don't even remember having like a favorite athlete. And like, yo, I want to be like him. Like that was not
be like
even
Mike? Wasn't that the only? That was the only slogan from
until then, yeah, but Yeah, I didn't have one. I knew players I wanted to play like, but I didn't know if I wanted to be like them. That's a difference.
Yeah.
And you didn't see the work. You just had to believe what everybody told you.
Yeah, but now they can see them with their car and their house, and they're dating this one, and they're wearing this watch, and they're doing.
Well, they have to be taught. The parents, we have to do a better job of every aspect. Like you said, dating. You don't have to date. You really don't have to date, because a lot of times dating can take you away from what you want to do. They have to be realistic about everything, and you have to micromanage some things that is about changing the meanings of things. You can't just say you want to win and you want to have this house and this wife and all this. It doesn't work that way. You may get into a relationship that's going to be detrimental. They're telling you to do the opposite of what you really want to do. So you have to, that's one. You have to go to the next level, the next level. We have to have new definitions of what everything that comes out of our mouths. Everything is not encompassing with, being successful. You may have a divorce. You may have 2 or 3 divorces. That means you probably shouldn't have got married, or you should stay
or
by
something
yourself.
wrong with you, right?
Yeah. So now we have to take definitions and kind of change them, because it doesn't mean everything that it used to mean. So it's important to be straight up and straight down with your kids. And they may be like, huh? Yeah, yeah, it's like that.
So let's stick with the definition, right? And I want to really, I guess each of us talk about what is our definition of winning. Like, what does success mean to you? I mean, it should be obviously different to everyone. Everyone should have their own level of success.
Absolutely.
And I think what society is doing right now is saying that this is what success looks like. You got big house, big fence, and all this other stuff. And people will try to kill themselves to get there. And when they get there, they're unhappy. Like, so on a personal level, like, what does success or winning look like in your world?
I guess that my kids are doing the right thing. I'm raising them right. I want good, decent human beings at the end of the day. That's my job as a mom. I'd like to let go of stress a little bit. That would be a win for me, to not have the weight of the world on my shoulders all the time.
Is that self-imposed, though?
I think so. I think I just take on things that I don't need to take on for no reason other than to stress myself out.
That's normal.
Finances, stuff like that. Like, you running numbers like, all right, this broke, and this broke this month. What do we, how are we going to make that up in this? And I don't need to do that. It'll all right itself. And if I keep, like Stephanie touched on the law of attraction last week, is what you put out there is what comes back. And I know that I was putting out a lot of negative, this is happening to me, this is happening to me. Life happens for you. It doesn't happen to you. I think everything happens to teach you. Like you said, you learn from the things that you think are, everybody has tragedy, everybody has heartache, everybody has different things happen. You have to learn how to kind of rebound.
I think my level definition of success is sort of along the same lines as you. I just want my kids to do better than I did. So my whole purpose right now is to set the bar so high for them. And then them look at me and be like, well, if Daddy came from here and made it to here, I don't have an excuse. Like, I don't have those barriers that he had. So there's no excuse for me not to be the astronaut or whatever it is that I want to do. Which, on the side, is parents out there, you got to stop killing your kids' dreams. Like, I go through this all the time, especially as a principal. A kid might say, I want to do films, or I want to be a basketball player. And then everyone's like, you should have plan B, or you should not do that, and you should be a lawyer, or whatever it is. And I see this all the time. And these kids walk around not knowing, what their future is going to be. Like, there's no plan. There's nothing, their dream was shot. I tell kids all the time, you want to be a basketball player, be a basketball player.
Yeah,
there is
absolutely.
no plan B. There's just plan A. Go after it.
Absolutely. That ball has air in it, and it will bounce.
Yeah, right. And you'll get to a place, you'll get somewhere. It may not be what you had in mind, but it's going to take you somewhere. But my whole thing about winning is just, I just want my kids to do better than I've done. On a personal level, I just want to be a better Demetrius every day. You know what I'm saying? And it's not so linear. I do have some setbacks that I got to climb my way back up. It's just human. But that's what winning is to me.
Yeah. For me, it's all the same thing, because I have 2 boys that I take care of, and I have custody of. I want them to wake up and say, Daddy, I slept good last night. I had a great sleep. That means the day before, the night before, you went to bed early, or maybe not early, but you had enough sufficient sleep. You had a good sleep, and you didn't wake up tired or groggy. I want them to wake up and say, Daddy, what are we doing today? And I'm happy with that, after they brush their teeth. but
why is that such a struggle? Like, wake up and brush your teeth.
But I mean, success is something that in winning, you don't win. You don't try to win everything. You just win little get little wins. You get little small ones. My kids, they know. They wake up and they karate chop them pillows and flatten their bed. They spread out in the bed, and then they can come talk to me and everything. They feel confident. They feel super that they can make their own bed without asking daddy to help, and I love it. I love it every day. And I try to tell them success is not something that you try to go get. You want to attract it. You want that to come. You want success. But success is looking for some place to lay. In that pool, how deep it is, there's some kids in there, they having fun. That's success.
Yep.
You want that to come to you, and you don't want to chase it. You want to chase it in terms of your personal development, but you want that ultimate success to come to you.
And I think it goes to what you said in terms of the world gives you what you give it. Like my whole mentality is like, I'm just going to give as much as I can until the world feels like it can't live without me. And then that's when it's going to come back. You know what I mean? A hundredfold for me. I guess as a takeaway for the podcast, one thing that I would recommend the audience to do, that it kind of all ties in. You definitely need to do that self-assessment piece. You definitely need to have that value system in play. But also just realize that as a parent and as an adult, you wear so many different hats all day long. And you've got to stay in the moment. That mindset, you got to stay in the moment. And I think we were talking about this earlier before the podcast. Like when I go to work, I'm thinking about work. I can't fix my problems at home when I'm in my office, so I don't really think about my family when I'm at work. And vice versa, I try to, make sure that happens, and vice versa when I'm here. I think about my family and not work, and you got to learn how to compartmentalize your life. A lot of us carry so much stuff and have a lot of stuff on our shoulders, and they try to take on everything at the same time. And the sad part for me is I'm seeing kids do the same thing, carrying that baggage. And I was like, you can't worry about, I know you're going to go home and there ain't going to be no food there and you're going to have abusive parents and stuff, but you can't fix that right now. You got to be in that moment right there and right now. And that's one of the things that I definitely want to teach my children is how to be in the moment. So a huge takeaway for me would be just to learn how to live in that moment and just give it the best that you possibly can and just do it. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, it don't work. It's going to take you somewhere. So if you guys have a takeaway for everybody, of some sort.
Where to go?
You can go.
And get, like you said, just try. Every day, wake up, and you have to take action. If you want to change your mentality, if you're living in that negative, lacking, mindset, like I kind of am digging out of, it takes work, and you have to make sure that you're putting your focus on that for a little bit. And like, how am I going to do this different today? Set small goals, visualize things, and you have to enjoy the journey, not just keep your eyes on that destination. Because you know what, your path could take you on a different, better journey, and that destination isn't even a blip on your radar anymore. You could do so much more.
Sixers say trust the process.
Oh boy.
Well, you're not a Sixers fan?
I have to be.
You don't have to be.
I want my kids to be Eagles fans. I have to be.
See, you're raising them wrong already. You're raising them wrong. Demetrius, any takeaways?
I tell my kids, I tell my players, because I've been coaching. I've learned so much from coaching. Coaching different levels. From high school to grown men in Europe, especially for 10 years. Coming back and coaching college kids, is play the next play. Things go wrong, keep your head forward, keep moving. And it's just to keep it simple. It's just something like that. Just play the next play. Whether it's, okay, I didn't get the loan that I wanted, or I didn't get the insurance company that I wanted, just keep moving forward. Just play the next play. Because then you won't find yourself stuck and wallowing in negativity and a lot of bad thoughts. Just keep moving forward. Keep being positive. Keep moving forward and challenge your barriers.
That's dope. We're going to move into faith and humanity. I actually have a story that reminded me, and I put it in the book, and Demetrius probably doesn't even remember the story. But I went to the beach. We all went to the beach. I think it was one of Randy's relatives. We went with a church group, and I was like 8 years old. And you have that myth, like you're not supposed to go in the water after you eat or whatever. So dumb me, we had hoagies or whatever. I go in there, and I'm in the ocean, and nobody's around me. And I get cramps in both of my legs. The tide starts taking me out. I just feel these two arms come behind me and lift me out the water. You saved my life.
I do remember that. Yes.
So I want to thank you because I wouldn't be here right now. So that's my faith in humanity story. I just wanted to share.
Wow. Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I put it in the book. I was like, well, I got to tell that story.
So no hoagies before you swim.
No hoagies before you swim.
That's the big takeaway today.
We're going to have a 6'8", 250-pound guy to pull you out of the water.
Yeah, you can eat the hoagie, but you got to have somebody like me swim alongside you.
You were that big when he was 8?
I think he was born 6'8". He was definitely born.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah. I just recognized that you were hurting, and I just picked you up and let's go.
Yeah, it was a scary thing. Like I could not move. I saw
I do
the water.
remember
I was
that. I do remember that. Wow, I totally forgot about that.
I was like, I gotta bring that up today.
Wow.
But Stacey, faith in humanity. I know you wanted to hit on a topic that I guess close to you because you know some people that are down there affected.
This week with Harvey, I think we've seen a lot of good come out of our nation. People bonding together, going down there, helping out, donating what they can. So it's nice to see people pulling together. I hate that it's always on the heels of tragedy. I wish we could see this more, but we tend to see it after something big. So it's still there. We just need to start showing it more. I think it happens all the time. Just people are, for whatever reason, don't share the good stuff all the time. They want to put that negative stuff out there. Be the first to say this happened in Hollywood or this happened. Why? It's,
I think even though it's so super tragic, like it came off the hills of Charlottesville, right? So everyone was talking about that. Like, and then you see people of all kinds of races and colors helping each other in those moments, and it kind of put Charlottesville on the back burner. But like you said, I mean, people just need to start dealing with people on a human level. Like, you know what I mean? We all in the same boat. We all bleed the same way. We all going to need needs, and we need to really start working and living together. You know what I mean?
It's like you said, it's too bad when we wait for the worst thing to happen to come together. And do the same thing with war. It's a little bit different topic, but everybody comes together when we go to war in a different country. It's insane why we wait till the last minute to come together, and I think it's uneducated. To be, I'm bluntly honest. It's very uneducated to treat people the way we do in this country, because in a lot of different countries they don't. They treat people. Sweden's a beautiful country. They help everybody. They want to generally from their heart help everybody. Not everybody, but as a whole, generalizing, they do want people to do well. And they take a lot of immigrants and refugees and they build up their lives and everything as a whole. But here, just, wow. When are we going to learn? We don't have to wait till a funeral to come together. Why? It's too late.
Yep.
We should do it every day. Everybody's going through something every single day. And like you just said, we should deal with people on the human level. That needs to be taught in school, though. What we're getting taught in school, some of these things I'm telling my kids, you can go get your A, but it's really not the truth. And I have to tell them that, and I'm like, and they're looking at me like, well, Christopher Columbus did discover America. I'm like, listen, let's have a real conversation about it. It did not happen that way. So we have to start being truthful to one another to see that we are humans. If we just wait till catastrophe, I'll see you next catastrophe.
And we need to be accountable too, because we are. I mean, everybody's guilty of spreading gossip or talking to somebody in a negative way. But the media, I think, really drives a wedge between everybody. They just put stuff out there all the time. But
negativity.
Sorry, you were in the media business.
I was in the media, and I had this argument the other day with people. The media is only giving people what they want. At the end of the day, it's a business. It's supply and demand. People want that stuff. All right, I'm gonna keep feeding it to you. When we stop turning the TV off, and once we start turning the TV off and say no, we don't want that, the media is going to change.
That's what I do in my house.
There's no man behind the scenes feeding information to people, making you think a certain way. Like, you know what I mean? You think about it. Movie makers, people that make movies, it's like, all right. People get scared when a clown comes out of the closet. I'm gonna make a movie about a clown coming out the closet. That's what people want. It's all about making a movie.
Well, negativity, we need negativity because that's part of our survival. So when you hear something negative, you don't want to do that, or you want to stay away from it, and you don't want anything to do with it. You want to get better than that. So we do need the negativity, but not so much in like a tsunami negativity.
Yeah.
You need negativity because you got to know how to survive. Because you don't know negativity, you just go out oblivious to everything and just get knocked on the head. But you got to learn from it, and you got to know what to take out of the negativity. I mean, it's so much, and it is so much, and it's glamorized here in the States. It is, because I've had tremendous amount of experience elsewhere. Half of my life's been overseas, 17 years. They don't process it the same way we do. We jump on negative all the time here, but we have to understand that negative stuff helps us survive. But you have to sift out what is really overblown and what's really out of touch and what's really, really too negative and too hateful. And the hate part comes in too much here.
So when I look at the hurricane and any situation like that, I kind of think about life. And I tell people all the time, I said, the storm is coming. You talk about failures. You're going to fail. The storm is going to come. How are you going to respond in that? Like, there's people that will run, let me get in the car and get out of there. There's people that's going to loot and do negative things. But then there's people that might say, you know what, this is an opportunity for me to start over. So when you're in the midst of that storm, sometimes you might want to sit back and say, you know what, all right, my house is destroyed, it's gone, but it's time for me to start over. Now I can reinvent myself and start doing things positive. So I think, just in terms of it, to me, that encompasses everything, that fear, the mindset, all of that stuff. Like, you know what I mean? The storm's definitely coming. You got to be able to dance in the rain. One of my favorite quotes that I live by, because it's coming. Any closing remarks before we get out of here?
For me, like I said, play the next play.
I texted that quote the other day. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Well, make sure you are leaving us comments on our website. We love to hear from you. We do get a couple of them. I didn't share any this week from the last podcast because I was a little unprepared, to be honest with you. But I'm going to get myself together. Make sure you leave those comments and questions for us. And make sure you hit that RSS feed if it's working, and make sure that you can get those updates. I'm trying to get us on iTunes and some other platforms. I promise I will do a better job marketing this thing this week and get some more views and likes on it. Trying to get to that 1,000 mark, probably before the end of September. That would be a great thing for us. Our next episode, we're going to be talking about opportunity. Right now, we possibly will have a special guest, Mr. Gary Monterosso, in the building, who is a beer connoisseur / expert. I know Stacy is looking forward to that one.
Yes.
So, again, on behalf of Stacy and myself, thank you for listening to the Empowerment Podcast, or Empowerment Perspective Podcast. I'll get it right. See you next time.